Okay. Blood by Dusk. Can you please give us a self introduction? I'm Miyazaki. First off, please tell us what led to this title being developed for Nintendo Switch 2. A while back, we met with Nintendo to discuss ideas. During the discussion, we presented a rough outline for the Duskbloods. Still very bare bones at the time. More of a loose string of ideas than a proper presentation. Concept was different from anything we had done before except Night Rain, and Nintendo seemed very interested in helping make a reality. So that's when the project kicked off. At first, it was being worked on by a small team as a title for Nintendo Switch. However, just as the game started to take shape, we were approached by Nintendo with talk of Switch 2, which led us to revamp our development path. New hardware's focus on online features allowed us to stay as true to the original vision as possible, which was very good news for us. Really? It has a focus on online features? Why is there even a Duskbloods category? I don't know. They secure that real fast. Just like, I don't know, other stuff. But that's what we're talking about. Sounds like the game differs from most of your previous titles. Can you give us a little more detail? In terms of structure, we consider it a PvPvE 2 title. At its core, it's an online multiplayer-focused game with both player versus player and player versus enemy gameplay. Oh, there's a footnote, I see. An acronym referring to a style of fighting where, in addition to players fighting each other, players also fight enemies that appear in the game. Ooh, okay. Pictures. Did you also always have some desire to make a PvPvE type game? Yes, I've always found the structure very interesting. It allows for a broad range of game design ideas while also letting us leverage our experience of designing challenging enemy encounters. Hello, David. As a side note, please allow me to address one thing. As previously mentioned, this is an online multiplayer title at its core, but this doesn't mean that we as a company have decided to shift to a more multiplayer-focused direction with titles going forward. All right, YouTube commenters. Well, take it as you will. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of Elden Ring was also announced, and we still intend to actively develop single-player-focused games, such as this, that embrace our more traditional style. Nintendo Switch 2 software planned for release in 2025. Okay, yeah. Please tell us about the game's characters and settings. The game's protagonists or characters controlled by the player are known as Bloodsworn. The Bloodsworn are a group whose members have achieved superhuman abilities through the power of special blood. As a general concept, they're similar to vampires, but they're not portrayed as the horrifying monsters you might associate with traditional vampirism. We tried to extract the sort of romantic aspects we found interesting from concepts such as vampires and blood and reinterpreted them as the Bloodsworn. There you go. In the Duskbloods, the Bloodsworn are competing for something known as First Blood. Wait a minute. So once you get the first kill of the game, you win and you leave? I'm just kidding. As human society reaches an end, First Blood flows in an event known as the Twilight of Humanity. The Bloodsworn are summoned to the Twilight of Humanity across a variety of different times and places in a bid to obtain First Blood. Due to this, there is no fixed era or location in which the Duskbloods takes place. There are more traditional Gothic or Victorian style maps, as well as those depicting the closing years of the early modern period, like the one glimpsed in the trailer with the train running through it. Okay. Can you let us know the meaning behind the title The Duskbloods? Directly refers to the Bloodsworn themselves. As mentioned earlier, the Bloodsworn are summoned to the Twilight of Humanity, you stupid idiot, obviously. Sounds like blood plays a pretty big role in this game. Yes. In the context of this game, blood is used more conceptually as opposed to literal meanings like physical depictions of injury. Blood symbolizes one of the game's key themes, the history it holds, the power it passes on, the fates it weaves, and the marker of those who have surpassed the limitations of their own humanity. Okay. Human abilities and opportunistic behavior. There he is. He's got 3 rows of teeth on the bottom at least. What are some characteristics of the Bloodsworn? The Bloodsworn possess superhuman abilities thanks to special blood, so their actions are more dramatic than anything seen in our previous titles. Even basic character actions in this game, such as sprinting, super jump, and double jump are designed to be dynamic and stress-free, and are complemented by each other's own unique weapons and abilities, allowing for a wide range of creativity. Also, and while this isn't directly related to the Bloodsworn themselves, the setting allows for the depiction of firearms and such, and every character is equipped with some means of attacking from a distance. I feel this is one of the game's unique aspects when compared with our previous titles. I hope these new action elements are one area that players will enjoy. Vampire guns. Although, what will she use? Shuriken? Shuriken gun? Earlier, you referred to protagonists or characters as plural. Does this mean the player will be able to choose from multiple different characters? Yes, there are over a dozen characters for the player to choose from, each with their own identity and appearance. I think there are a lot of unique elements to the character designs and the weapons they use, so hopefully players can find one or two favorites among them. Also, each character can be customized to a certain extent, allowing players the fun of building a character that feels like their own. Can you please provide some more detail on the general gameplay loop? The game has a so-called hub area where players can choose their character, customize them, and enter online multiplayer. Online multiplayer supports up to 8 players. Upon concluding an online match, players then return to the hub, at which point they receive some sort of reward, whether they win or lose. Using these rewards, they can further customize a character, and so the cycle continues. Online matches are generally last player standing. Okay, so it's not extraction. However, there are certain cases where victory conditions differ. Oh. For example, players may be tasked with teaming up to take down a powerful boss enemy, or find themselves in other special circumstances. Interesting. So victory conditions are influenced not just by PvP, but PvE results as well. That's right, some victory conditions center around defeating a boss enemy. Okay. So you probably, interesting. For the whole game, that whole match, then you don't want to kill other players? Okay. Sorry, that was a loud clap, clap. Ah. I can't think of many examples with that rule set. It sounds very interesting. I'm happy to hear you say that. Regardless of whether it's PvP or PvE, the idea is to provide players with an experience. Let me make this bigger. I just thought about that. An experience that allows them to learn and hone their skills as they play. We've therefore designed the PvE boss encounters to present a tough challenge and a sense of accomplishment upon defeating them. So players can also enjoy improving their own skills over time as they battle. Yes, although there are a variety of elements in place that keep the game from becoming too stoic. For example, how players conduct themselves during the match is just as important as direct combat. The Duskbloods implements victory points, which are responsible for ultimately deciding the outcome of a match. To obtain victory points, direct combat is of course important, but it's not the only way. Some players may prefer to earn points by avoiding direct combat and instead engaging in more opportunistic behavior. How you earn points is entirely up to you. That's a freaking rifle, bro. Additionally, each character can summon an entity to assist in combat, giving players a high degree of freedom when it comes to how they fight and win. Interesting. Summon? Summon? I don't know. Another important aspect is match variables, such as the event system. This system has the potential to alter the course of the match, such as special enemy spawns and additional objectives, with accompanying bonus rewards. In the trailer, you may have noticed a giant stone face looming in the sky. This is one example of the events that can occur in a match. In this case, the appearance of this stone face affects the environment and changes match rewards, which can have an immediate impact on player motivations and objectives. These events don't happen all the time, and I hope discovering them gives players some incentive to keep coming back. So, with the ideas going into this and Night Rain, they're thinking a lot about this replayability aspect, and it's going to be really interesting to see what they choose for one, what they choose for both, and how that translates across, a lot of playing the same game. I don't know. It just seems like they're doubling down on figuring out how to do random events like that make them fun and engaging and keep you around. So I think that means better things for both of these games. It sounds like even those who tend to shy away from PvP can still enjoy themselves. That was the intention. I personally am not much of a PvP person, And I wanted to make something that's satisfying even for players like me. Okay, they're coming for us PvEers. While the goal of a match is to obtain first blood, there are personal objectives that provide separate rewards to the player as well. So I hope these add to the fun of each engagement. I personally don't care about like being the sole winner of a game, so I could see myself taking, you know, those side roles. That could be cool. Especially if it's just like to unlock, I don't know, things. Part 3, playing roles and altering fates. What other ways might players enjoy the game outside of combat? One thing I love doing in any game I direct is leaving fragments of lore and world building details, allowing the player the fun of using their imagination to make connections. The Duskbloods is no exception to this. However, we've gone about it a little differently from previous titles. The fragments this time are found in the previously mentioned character customization items, their blood history and fate. Customizing a character will reveal a piece of information regarding the world and its unfolding story. We can ERP together. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. You customize their blood history and fate? Yes, analyzing and altering a character's blood history and fate allows players to customize all sorts of things, from their abilities, appearance, and inner characteristics to the role they play in the world and relationships with other characters. Focusing these elements on the concept of blood or blood history and fate allowed for a deeper exploration of customization and is another reason we placed the Bloodsworn as the protagonists. Look at this Giga Chad. Do you mind sharing any other points you personally find interesting? One area I haven't talked about yet is roles. In online play, asterisk, roles give players special responsibilities and objectives that often lead to unique interactions and relationships between players based on their corresponding roles. I'm thinking like the purple multiplayer, what is it, the Tree Balls Covenant in Dark Souls 3. I remember what they're called. That's probably not much info to go on, so allow me to provide a few examples. But please note, we're still finalizing some of the naming and details. Yeah, the Mound Makers. So you might join in and it might be like, you need to kill like this person. Or maybe it's like, you need to kill this boss. And that can like motivate how you want to play. Or maybe it's like, you need to protect this person. That could be cool too. For example, if a player possesses the Destined Rivals role, another player is designated as their rival, and they are tasked with finding and defeating that player. Oh, I guess I should just kept reading, huh? Doing so counts as achieving a personal goal, separate from the overall victory conditions. Another example is Destined Companion, where one player is required to seek out another designated as their companion, which results in a special reward if they form a bond with one. Well, there you go. I should have just kept reading. Roles can be assigned to any character via blood customization, allowing players to enjoy role-playing in a literal sense, and hopefully adding to the drama of these engagements. Duskbloods role-playing streams incoming. Kind of like how players can pick their roles in a tabletop RPG? Exactly. While not entirely intentional, it may reflect my own interests of it. It might seem a little unorthodox at first, but I hope players will give it a try. Role-playing games played with things like dice and player. Huh? That reminds me, I was curious about the winged rat character seen in the trailer. Can you provide some details as to what role this character serves? That character shares a similar role with the Firekeepers from the Dark Souls series. They remain in the hub area, providing the player with advice and guidance. I suppose you could say we tried doing something a little Nintendo-esque in the spirit of the partnership. What do you mean by that? We tried something cute for a change. Oh, yeah. Rats and birds are like the dirtiest animals, but they're cute. Although I will say this character is actually an elderly gentleman. Oh, laughter. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish? In addition to creating a PvPvE title, we've tried our hand at introducing a lot of new and interesting ideas with the Duskbloods. From superhuman player actions, a free-form combat approach, and gameplay that's dynamic and dramatic, to the romanticized aesthetic of the Bloodsworn, deep character customization, and fragmentary storytelling, I think there's a lot to appreciate and enjoy in this title, and I sincerely hope players look forward to paying $600 for it. Thank you very much for your time. Well, that's a starting point. I mean, I'm intrigued. Again, I got to see more. But now we know it's not necessarily extraction based, but it could be. The goals change, and I do like the side quests that you can get that will kind of dictate how you're playing the match. So I don't know. We'll have to see more, right? It's early, and sure, it comes out next year, but we don't even know. We've seen so little, and surely they got to do some sort of network test, right? But I guess you probably need a Switch 2 for that before that comes out. So, yeah, look forward to that, I guess. So, yeah, I'm also concerned about Nintendo's online infrastructure. They did say right here, the new hardware's focus on online features allowed us to stay as true to the original vision as possible. So I don't remember them talking much about that in the direct, but they might just be saying that. I mean, we'll have to see. Oh, yeah. Oh, the game chat. Penis cam. How could I forget?